Hey guys, Robert here. Welcome back to the channel. So, first time I'm watching this video, real-time reaction, and I'll give my professional opinion on certain things and maybe even add to what this young lady is saying to help those of you prepare as much as you can before you get into your first home. Let's check it out.
I'm a single person who bought my house about a year ago, and let's talk about how I feel a year later. So something I didn't know going into it, or I didn't really think of and no one really told me, was that the taxes are adjusted every few years depending on where you live, and that my payment would actually go up. So this year they readjusted for taxes I owed from last year because they didn't do it correctly. And so my mortgage actually went up $150, which was a little frustrating.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there. She hit the ball out of the park. My payment went up because my taxes were reassessed, and now I'm paying more than $150. I'm paying $150 more than when I originally started. There's been a ton of videos online. I've done a couple where folks are just upset about their escrow account. You have to understand that there are several reasons that will cause your tax basis on your home to go up when you're a new homeowner. Number one, if you bought pre-existing, one of the most common is this: the tax portion of your payment may have been calculated on a property where the prior owners had certain exemptions that are not applicable to you. Say they were older, elderly exemptions. Say they were veterans and they had a prorated or discounted tax rate or none. These are some of the things that I see on a lot of deals that go under the radar because they're trying to get you into a home initially with the least amount of money and or even with a payment that's not realistic. And so this is why it's very important to be properly approved, where it lets you know how much you really can afford. So do not fool yourself in thinking that you can buy a $300,000 house and the taxes on that said house are $1,000 a year. The second thing is in new construction. Here's the deal. The builder buys a chunk of land, they get it developed. That builder is only paying a certain amount of taxes on all of the potential homes that are going to be built, right? Let's say there's 300 homes in this subdivision if you're building them, or whatever the number is. So they're paying the taxes on the land or unimproved property. So here you come, you buy the house, and a year later, 6 months later, whenever the tax assessor, and I doubt it's every 2-3 years, it's every year. You might not get an increase every year, but it's going to be assessed every year. In this case, you buy the house, the tax assessor now understands that you own said property because the title and everything is recorded. They assess the home when they normally assess it, and now the house is on the land. There's a certificate of occupancy that has been issued. You're living in it. And the taxes go from being unimproved for the builder to improved for you. This is the importance of dealing with the right lender that is going to give you an estimate based upon what the taxes should look like. And if you're dealing with any lender that is worth their salt, then they should be able to do that. Here is what you have to understand. When you're getting loan estimates, say you're shopping and it's one or two lenders, however many there are, right? You have to understand that when the total payment seems very low as you compare, that should send off a red flag. Why is your taxes a lot lower than this lender's taxes? And that is an indication to you that someone is either trying to manipulate you to get you into the ecosystem to start the process. Because what I find is this: once you start with this process, because there's so many moving pieces, the chances of you jumping to another lender are very slim, and they know that. Numbers show, and this also goes with realtors as well, that the first person that talks to you is the person that typically is going to do your transaction. So that's more on you being a savvy, educated home buyer, understanding the nuances of these things, watching these YouTube videos to find people that you trust that are pointing these things out to you so that you can take the next step to make sure that you can absorb or deal with the thing that is going to happen. And in this case, it is the taxes are going to be assessed or reassessed on an annual basis, and you may have an increase. Hopefully, that gives you some color into that. Now, let's continue.
I had a very, it was an okay down payment. It was 6% for a down payment. And I felt like I had enough money in my savings. I was able to do a couple things around the house that were needed when I moved in, and I had the money to do it. But I just feel like I would over save. And the interest rate I got was pretty good at the time. Obviously, it's not gone back down. So I feel very lucky in that aspect, but I do think I would have waited a little bit longer to be in a little bit better financial spot. And I was told by a realtor that it usually takes, if it's a single person, whether it be just one person rather than two people, it takes you about a year to 2 years to feel like your finances are back in order after buying a house.
Okay, so she's giving some gold here. Let's slow it down and rewind a little bit. Why did she say she would have waited? To save more money. This is akin to what I just mentioned, in that you have to know your numbers and you have to understand that owning a home comes with cost and it costs money. Here's a percentage that I tell everybody. This is just minimum. When you're buying a house, it takes 6% of whatever that purchase price is to get into that home. You may not have to use the entire 6%. Hopefully you don't. The reason you might not have to use it is because you may use a down payment assistance program. The sellers may contribute all or most of your closing costs. That depends on the negotiation. But 6% you must have. That's just to buy the house. Here's the deal. How much more do you have than that? You have to have some savings. Why? She just mentioned it. Her house payment went up $150. That's on the lender. She should have been prepared for that $150 because they didn't prepare her escrow based upon the taxes that she would pay. So I'm going to put that on the lender because you guys don't know that necessarily coming in. But that aside, this is why I tell people, when I look at your bank statement over the past 60 days, your average balance was $300. You don't have any monies in any other liquid type assets, any emergency funds or anything of that nature. That is a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for all of these TikTok and videos and folks trying to demonize home ownership so that when you guys come along, you think, oh my God, it's the boogeyman. The taxes are going to. No, these folks have not been prepared properly. And the part that I'm talking about is on you. You have to have the ability to afford the home, even if nothing major goes on. I'm just talking about changing the filters, cutting grass if you have it, maintaining it, cleaning it. Your expenses are going up. I think that's what the realtor was probably saying to her. Look, you're going from someone taking care of everything. Either you were renting or you were living with family rent free, and you don't understand that your lights, water, gas, just the daily things that you use are going to increase because you're taking care of them now. And so you have to be able to buy right, meaning you're not overextending yourself. We live on the net, not the gross. Most of us buy on the gross. These are the things that cause this situation to happen, be it if you're single, if you have a partner, or if you're buying multi-generational. Do you have reserves? If you're thinking about buying a house and you're a year out, as you go through your process of understanding how much home you should buy, no more than 2.5 times your income. I don't care what anybody tells you. If you buy 2.5 times your income, you may not be able to buy what you think you want or what you deserve, but it's a home and it's a starter home for a lot of folks. You won't be overextended and you'll have the ability, the bandwidth in your income coming in where you are to take care of things like reassessment values. So 2.5 times, pardon me, your income you buy there, and then start looking at some of these websites that are out here, or just type it into a Google search. Hey, what's the average light bill, gas bill, electric bill, the utilities in my area? What do they average? Right? And gather those numbers and then say, okay, I need 6%. Robert told me I need 6% to buy a house. I may not use it all, but I need it. Okay. And then my estimated mortgage payment is going to be this plus the extra expenses, including groceries that I'll have. And do I have 6 months of that as a living expense or an emergency fund? The goal is not just to buy a home. The goal is to purchase a home and be able to live in it for shelter, security, the nurturing of yourself and your family, to have a peace, shalom in your home. It's not an investment vehicle and all these things that they've marketed it to be. It's not a badge of accomplishment that, hey, I'm better than you. No, it's not. When we buy these things because of that, then we have these issues. Also, you do not have to buy a home. You don't. If you want to buy a home, these are the things that you have to understand. And that's why videos like this are golden. So let's continue.
So far, knock on wood, only a couple things have broken and I've had to pay for a couple things. And I do feel like I've been pretty prepared for that. But I would definitely say if you're wanting to buy a house, especially as a single person, or if you're saving money to buy a house, definitely oversave and make sure you know all the hidden fees that are associated with it, because people won't tell you what the actual breakdown of all the fees that are associated with buying a house, as opposed to like what people will try to tell you to get you into a house.
Excellent breakdown. We appreciate her letting us into her life and her first year of home ownership. I wish you well, young lady. Hopefully you catch your stride and move forward. Whenever you're going from a situation where you haven't had to pay as much, there's always going to be a shock. Call it payment shock, right? In fact, you don't want a payment shock that's more than 1/2 times what you've been paying. Okay. So if you have $1,000 rent payment, your mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance shouldn't exceed $1,500 a month, right? When you do that, if you come shy of that $1,500 and leave some wiggle room in there for tax reassessment, so on and so forth, then you're golden. You can grow with the home. Second thing is this. I hear a lot of folks today say, I feel like. You can't buy a home on feelings. Okay. You buy homes for the purpose of shelter, as I said before, but here's some of the reasons. You're relocating to a new area, for a job position, right? You're getting married, your family size is growing, divorce, death, downsizing. We got to stop going by feelings and start having a reason to buy. And when we have those reasons, it's very important because those are anchor points to help us be more realistic and logical when we're doing something that's very emotional. Because there's big highs and lows, a lot of endorphin hits when you're buying a home and you feel like you've accomplished something. But the goal is to maintain the property, however long you have that mortgage. She said something earlier too. I want to go back. I don't want to run past it, but she said her interest rate didn't change. Most mortgages today are fixed interest rate, 30 years, 25 years, 20, 15, so on and so forth. And so your principal and interest portion of your payment will not change. If you have mortgage insurance, not to be confused with insurance to insure the house, but mortgage insurance because you didn't put a 20% down payment or greater, that insurance protects the lender in the event of default, but that won't change. The changes in your total monthly payment have to do with the taxes and insurance. Insurance goes up annually. I think I'll do another video on some of these hidden costs that she's talking about, because nothing's hidden probably just don't understand them, and break those down so you guys can understand. But here's the deal. At the end of the day, there's only so much. There's only so much you're going to garner from videos. What I find is most people get more confused than anything. And so after you've come to a point, a baseline understanding, you really have to get approved or pre-approved. If you're in that state, or if you're ready to go to that next level, you want to watch this video right over here, because this will show you what you need to understand and to have to get a proper pre-approval, so that you can eliminate a lot of these things that buyers run into during their first year of home ownership. I think you'll like it. Indeed.